$572.754 billion. That is correct. That is the total revenue that Walmart made. The company is the largest employer in the world, with over 2 million people contributing to its success. Additionally, in terms of revenue, it is the largest retailer in the world. However, constructing such a vast empire was not a simple task. It all started with a struggling farmer who, after being told that he had no future in the retail industry, made the decision to start his own shop, despite being told that he had no prospects there. Want to know the whole story in detail? Do not worry, pals. This amazing story is all set to be presented here, only on Businessman. Let's find out. Samuel Moore Walton was an American entrepreneur and businessman who is best known for starting the companies that will later become known as Walmart and Sam's Club. Wal-Mart Stores Inc. became not only the largest private employer, but also the world's largest corporation when measured by revenue over the course of its history. Walton was the wealthiest person in the US for a number of years. Samuel Moore Walton was born to his parents, Thomas Gibson Walton and Nancy Lee, in Kingfisher, Oklahoma. Up until 1923, he was there with his parents on the farm that they owned. However, farming did not provide enough money for Thomas Walton to be able to adequately raise a family, so he began mortgaging his farm. During the time of the Great Depression, he was employed by his brother's Walton Mortgage Company, which served as an agent for Metropolitan Life Insurance. There, he was responsible for the foreclosure of agricultural properties. Oklahoma was no longer home for him and his family. At the time, he had another son, James, who was born in 1921. They spent a number of years moving around from one small town to another, primarily within the state of Missouri. Sam became the state's youngest Eagle Scout in the state's history while he was still in the 8th grade and living in Shelbina, Missouri. Walton earned the rank of Eagle Scout as an adult and was later presented with the Distinguished Eagle Scout Award by the Boy Scouts of America. After some time, the family settled in the city of Columbia in the state of Missouri. When he was a kid, he lived through the Great Depression, and like most kids of his generation, he had to pitch in and help his family out financially by doing chores. He started the business by milking the family cow, bottling the extra product, and delivering it to customers. After that, he worked as a paperboy for the Columbia Daily Tribune, delivering copies of the newspaper door to door. Additionally, he was in the business of selling magazine subscriptions. At the time of his graduation from David H. Hickman High School in Columbia, he was honored with the title of Most Versatile Boy. This is a real struggle that very few people can have. Everybody has not the potential to push his limits to their extreme, but one who does it is definitely going to be on the way to cracking something magnanimous. Walton made the decision to continue his education after graduating from high school in the hopes of enhancing his ability to contribute financially to his family. As a member of ROTC, he received his education at the University of Missouri. During this time, he supported himself by taking on a variety of odd jobs, including working as a waiter in exchange for food. Walton also became a member of the Beta Theta Pi fraternity. While he was a student at the university, both the National Military Honor Society as well as the well-known secret society on campus known as QEBH, which honors the most outstanding senior men, chose him for membership. Walton also led a large class of students from the University of Missouri and Stephens College while serving as president of the Boral Bible class. After receiving his bachelor's degree in economics in 1940, his classmates elected him permanent president of the school's graduating class. Moreover, he elaborated on the fact that he realized from a very young age that it was essential for them as children to contribute to the provision of the home and to be givers rather than takers. He learned this lesson from his father. Walton came to the conclusion while he was still in the military that he wanted to work in retail and eventually start his own business. Walton was a determined man. He began his career in retail 3 days after receiving his college diploma and joined J.C. Penney in Des Moines, Iowa, as a management trainee. This position provided him with a monthly salary of $75. Walton worked for approximately 1 year and a half at J.C. Penney. In 1942, he handed in his resignation in preparation for induction into the military so that he could serve his country during World War II. And here is something when he thought something vast. During this time, he was employed at a DuPont's munition plants located in the vicinity of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Soon after that, Walton enlisted in the U.S. Army Intelligence Corps and was assigned to supervise the security at prisoner of war camps and aircraft manufacturing facilities. He served in this capacity at Fort Douglas, which is located in Salt Lake City, Utah. Over time, he worked his way up to the position of captain. After all of this, Walton began the second innings of his life when Helen Robson, on February 14 of 1943, Valentine's Day. They had 4 beautiful children: Samuel Robson, John Thomas, James Carr, and Alice Lewis. Walton gave his support to a number of different charitable causes. Sam served as an elder at the First Presbyterian Church in Bentonville, where he also taught high school students as a Sunday school teacher. He and Helen were both active members of the church. The congregation was extremely grateful to the family for their generous donations. Walton incorporated the idea of service leadership into the corporate structure of Wal-Mart. This idea was based on the idea that Christ was a servant leader, and Walton stressed the importance of serving others from a Christian perspective. After serving in the military for 4 years, Walton finally got out in 1945, and at the age of 26, he became the manager of his first variety store. Walton was able to buy a Ben Franklin variety store in Newport, Arkansas, by taking out a loan from his father-in-law for the amount of $20,000 and using the additional $5,000 that he had saved during his time in the Army. The shop was an independently owned and operated Butler Brothers franchise. Walton was an innovator in many areas, and these areas proved to be essential to his success. Walton believed that if he offered prices that were comparable to or better than those found in cities that were 4 hours away by car, people would shop in their own communities rather than travel. Walton was careful to ensure that the shelves were always stocked with a diverse selection of products. His first store, which was a Ben Franklin, was located across the street from his second store, which was a small department store called Eagle, which was located next door to Eagle's primary rival in Newport. Did you know Walton caught the attention of P.K. Holmes, the landlord, whose family had a history in retail by virtue of the fact that the sales volume increased from $80,000 to $225,000 in the span of 3 years? Because he was so impressed with Sam's achievements and because he wanted to give his son the opportunity to run the business, he decided against renewing the lease. Early on his career, Walter learned valuable lessons in business from the absence of a renewal option, as well as the prohibitively high rent of 5% of sales. Despite the fact that Walton was forced out of the store, Holmes purchased the inventory and fixtures for a sum of $50,000, which Walton considered to be a fair price. He, his wife Helen, and his father-in-law were able to negotiate the purchase of a new location on the downtown square of Bentonville, Arkansas, despite the fact that the store had effectively been sold and the lease still had a year left on it. Walton negotiated the purchase of a small discount store as well as the title to the building on the condition that he get a 99-year lease to expand into the shop next door. This was the condition of the sale. Walton gave up on Bentonville when his father-in-law, without Sam's knowledge, paid the shop owner a final visit and $20,000 to secure the lease. The owner of the shop next door had refused 6 times, and Walton had given up on Bentonville by that point. He was able to complete the transaction and compensate Helen's father with the money that was left over from the sale of the first store. On the 9th of May in 1950, they opened their doors to the public with a one-day remodeling sale. Before he purchased the Bentonville store, its annual revenue was $72,000. After he took ownership, it rose to $105,000 in the first year, and then it increased to $140,000 and $175,000 in subsequent years. Young Walton had to learn to delegate responsibility because the new Five and Dime store in Bentonville was opening for business at the same time that there was still 1 year left on the lease in Newport. Newport is located 220 miles away. After finding success with two stores located so far apart, Sam became excited about looking for additional locations and opening additional Ben Franklin franchises. Also, as a result of spending countless hours driving, and the fact that his close brother, James Walton, had served as a pilot in the military during the war, he made the decision to purchase a small, pre-owned airplane. In the future, both he and his son John would go on to become accomplished pilots and log thousands of hours scouting locations and expanding the family business. Ruskin Heights, Missouri is a suburb of Kansas City, and in the year 1954, he and his brother Bud opened a store together in a shopping center there. Sam eventually opened a large number of new variety stores with the assistance of his brother and his father-in-law. He encouraged his managers to invest and take an equity stake in the company, often investing as much as $1,000 in their store or the next outlet that would open. As a result of this, the managers were inspired to improve their managing abilities and to accept ownership of the role that they played in the business. By 1962, he owned 16 stores across the state of Arkansas, Missouri, and Kansas, 15 of which were Ben Franklin's, and one of which was an independent business located in Fayetteville. One of the most successful and well-known project entrepreneurs in the history of the retail chain industry was Sam Walton. He was very enthusiastic about gaining new knowledge. He was a great manager too. He frequently traveled across the country without prior notice to conduct unannounced visits to Wal-Mart locations in order to gather information about successful local innovations that could then be implemented at other Wal-Mart locations. During one of those visits, he was perplexed by a greeter who was saying hello at the entrance of the store, and he asked the other individual what he was doing there. The employee who greeted customers explained that his primary responsibility was to prevent shoplifters from sneaking out of the store with unpaid merchandise through the front entrance. Walton expressed his joy and spread the news about the innovation to all of the associates working for his chain. On July 2nd of 1962, the original Wal-Mart store opened for business in Rogers, Arkansas. The retail establishment was known as Wal-Mart Discount City, and it could be found at 719 West Walnut Street. He made a resolute effort to promote the sale of products made in the U.S., a willingness to find American manufacturers who could supply merchandise for the entire Wal-Mart chain at prices low enough to compete with foreign competition was a part of the effort that was made. Walton became interested in the major store chain as it expanded and continued to prosper. He eventually came to the realization that the format of his one-stop shopping center was derived from Major's pioneering and innovative concept. Walton department stores, in contrast to the standard procedure followed by most American discount store chains, chose to locate their stores in smaller towns rather than larger cities. The only choice available at the time was to establish retail locations in less populous cities and towns in order to be closer to the target audience. The model developed by Walton featured two distinct benefits. First, the competition that was already present was limited, and second, other merchants would be discouraged from entering the market if a store was large enough to control the majority of the business in a town and the areas immediately surrounding it. It was important to him that his model be successful, so he placed a strong emphasis on logistics. In particular, he wanted to place stores within a day's drive of Wal-Mart's regional warehouses and have them distributed through Wal-Mart's in-house trucking service. The ability To sell name brand merchandise at a discount was made possible by volume purchasing and effective delivery. As a result, consistent growth was achieved, going from 190 stores in 1977 to 800 stores in 1985. Walmart is known to have a significant impact on any region in which it establishes a store as a result of the scale and economic influence that it possesses. The term Walmart effect has been given to refer to all of these effects, both positive and negative. Walton passed away from multiple myeloma, a form of blood cancer, in Little Rock, Arkansas, on Sunday, April the 5th of 1992. His death occurred 3 months before Walmart's 30-year anniversary, and this was a loss for the whole nation. The tragic news of his passing was transmitted via satellite to each of Walmart's 1,960 locations. His company was responsible for the employment of 380,000 people at the time. A total of 1,735 Walmart stores, 212 Sam's Clubs, and 13 supercenters contributed to the company's nearly $50 billion in annual sales. His grave can be found in the Bentonville Cemetery in Bentonville, Arkansas. Inherited his ownership of Walmart after he passed away. Rob Walton took over as chairman of Walmart after his father, and John Walton served as a director until his death in a plane crash in 2005. John Walton was succeeded as chairman of Walmart by Rob Walton. However, his son Jim Walton serves as the chairman of Arvis Bank. The other members of the Walton family are not directly involved in the company, except in the sense that they have voting power as shareholders. Up until 2005, members of the Walton family occupied 5 of the top 10 spots on the list of the richest people in the United States. Ann Kronk and Nancy Loring, the daughters of Sam Walton's brother Bud, each hold a smaller share in the company than their father does. Walton was recognized as one of the top 100 most influential people of the 20th century by Time magazine in the year 1998. Walton was presented with the Presidential Medal of Freedom by George H.W. Bush, who was in office at the time, in recognition of his contributions to the retail industry in March 1992, just 1 month before he passed away. Sam Walton was ranked as the richest person in the U.S. by Forbes from the years 1982 until 1988. However, in 1989, the editors of Forbes began to credit Walton's fortune to both Sam Walton and his 4 children. This caused John Klug to overtake Sam Walton as the richest person in the US. The year Walton passed away, 1992, was the first year that Bill Gates topped the list. Sam's Club is another chain of warehouse stores that is operated by Walmart stores. Walmart is present not only in the United States, but also in more than 15 other countries and territories around the world. The College of Business at the University of Arkansas bears his name. In 1992, Walton was honored by Junior Achievement by being inducted into the U.S. Business Hall of Fame. So friends, have you ever entertained the thought of launching your own retail enterprise? Aspiring business people can find inspiration and a roadmap for success in Walmart's rise from a one-room store to a multinational corporation based in the US. Walmart's achievements serve as a model of excellence. How can you achieve success in business? By ensuring that you never lose sight of your objectives. Is it that easy? Tell us in the comment section. And also don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting business stories.